You stopped caring. Then she started calling. She couldn't see your value when you were all in. But the second you pulled away, the second you built yourself, she came back like she never left. Ever wonder why she suddenly remembers what she walked away from? Ever ask yourself how someone can let go so fast, then show up just when you're finally starting to breathe again? You didn't change for her. You changed because you had no choice. You buried the pain in discipline, in progress, in silence. Now she wants a piece of the man she couldn't wait to leave behind. And if you've ever asked, should I reply? The answer lies in what she really wants, not what she says. If you've been through this, comment, "I'm done chasing." This one's for you. Today, we're breaking down the brutal reasons why she comes back after you let her go. Number 1, she sees you moved on. She sees you moved on, and it eats at her more than she'll ever say out loud, not because she truly values you now, but because the control she once held over your attention, your emotions, your hope, and your effort has finally slipped from her hands, and she wasn't ready for that. She underestimated the moment you stopped checking her stories, the day you didn't reply, the silence that wasn't staged but earned, and that distance you built wasn't punishment. It was progress that grew so quietly. Even you didn't notice how much you changed, until one day her name appeared on your phone and you didn't feel a thing, because the version of you that once needed her validation died somewhere between the gym reps you pushed through in pain, the books you read when the world felt cold, the discipline you built on nights where loneliness could have taken you out but didn't. And that scares her because she built her confidence on the idea that you'd always be there waiting. You'd always be the backup plan in case the freedom she chased didn't taste as sweet as she imagined. But now she's not the center anymore. She's just another notification in a world you've rebuilt from the ground up with your bare hands. And it shows in how she phrases her message, soft, vague, designed to spark curiosity, designed to open the door without stepping in because she's not sure you'll open it. And for once that uncertainty is killing her. Because she's used to being chased, not ignored. She's used to being missed, not forgotten. And when she sees your silence, she mistakes it for cruelty, but it's not. It's clarity. It's a man who finally understood that no amount of proving your worth will make someone appreciate what they never earned. And she doesn't know how to process that, because in her world, value is tied to attention. So when your attention disappears, she assumes your value disappeared too. Until she looks again and realizes you didn't fade, you elevated. And now she can't look away. She zooms into your progress trying to find traces of the man she knew, but she can't because he's gone. And what she sees now is someone she can't manipulate with breadcrumbs. Someone who doesn't light up at every tiny bit of effort. Someone who stopped needing closure, who stopped needing to be seen, who just lives and moves with peace so loud it drowns out the past. And that peace didn't come from pretending you're okay. It came from becoming okay, from realizing that your value isn't determined by who stays, but by how you carry yourself when they leave. And when she sees you moved on, she's not mourning the relationship. She's mourning her influence, her ability to pull you back into conversations that don't serve you, to pull you back into a dynamic where you doubt yourself so she can feel sure about herself. But that dynamic is dead because you put it to rest, not with a goodbye but with action, with discipline, with choices that didn't involve proving anything to anyone but yourself. And now the version of you she returns to doesn't need her to understand him, doesn't need her to agree, doesn't need her to stay. And that is the rarest version of you that she has ever seen, a version that makes her question everything, because it was never about getting you back. It was about seeing if she still had the power to, and when she realizes she doesn't, that her voice doesn't reach you anymore, that her absence didn't break you but built you, she's faced with the reality that some people don't pause their life when someone walks out. Some rebuild it better, and that's you. Because when she sees you moved on, she's not seeing a man who found someone new. She's seeing a man who found himself, who didn't collapse when the one he wanted left, but instead rose. And in that rise, she's confronted with a truth she never planned for. She wasn't the reason you glowed. You were always the fire. She just stood close enough to pretend it was her light. And now that you've moved on, she has to see you shine from a distance she can't cross anymore. And that's a loss she'll carry silently, while you keep winning loudly in results and quietly in peace. And if that shift in energy is something you felt but couldn't fully explain, it's because no one ever taught you how to let go with strength and rebuild with purpose. And that's exactly why the Stoic relationship blueprint was created. Because every man who's been through heartbreak, confusion, or emotional manipulation deserves a guide back to himself. This isn't just a book. It's a blueprint built on timeless Stoic principles that will change how you move forever. Not just in relationships, but in every part of your life. And now that it's available as an audiobook, you can listen to this life-changing wisdom while walking, training, or simply clearing your head. Because the transformation you've been waiting for isn't in another person. It's in the way you choose to respond, to detach, to rise. And the best part is, once you have the book, it's yours for life. Yours to revisit anytime you need strength, clarity, or a reminder of what you're really worth. So if you're ready to stop repeating cycles and start leading your life with discipline, power, and peace, the link is waiting for you in the comments. Tap in, reclaim yourself, and never look back. Number 2. She misses the attention. She misses the attention not because she truly values you as a person, but because she values the role you played in propping up her identity. Her self-worth was tied to how much of yourself you gave away without her having to earn it. And when you pulled back, she didn't feel the absence of love. She felt the absence of control, because to her your attention was a mirror. She stared into to feel good about herself, not a bond she respected. And now that it's gone, she feels less important, not just to you, but to herself. Because when you were giving everything, your time, your energy, your thoughts, your care, she didn't value it. She expected it. She normalized being the center of your world while offering the bare minimum in return. And when that supply line was cut off, she wasn't ready. She thought she could walk away and still live rent-free in your mind while exploring options, playing games, chasing excitement that didn't demand accountability. But what she didn't expect was your silence to be real, your healing to be genuine, your progress to be sustained. And that shook her, because most people don't stay gone when love gets hard. They fold, they beg, they chase. But you didn't. You stood up. You faced the emptiness and filled it with growth and clarity, and late nights turning into early mornings, where you rebuilt the version of yourself that didn't need outside validation to feel whole. And now she sits staring at a phone she used to have power over, rereading conversations you've already deleted from memory, scrolling your profile, wondering when the shift happened, wondering how she lost her place without realizing she gave it away. And the truth is, you didn't take anything from her. You just stopped feeding a cycle where you were always the giver, and she was the beneficiary of your kindness, your patience, your empathy. And now that space feels cold to her because her ego was fed by your devotion, and now it's starving. And in that starvation comes the illusion of love. She convinces herself she misses you, but what she misses is who she got to be when you were around. Worshipped, chased, prioritized, forgiven. And she wants that back, not because she wants to give anything in return, but because attention has become her comfort drug and you were her dealer, always available, always loyal, even when it hurt you, even when it made you question yourself. You kept showing up for someone who didn't show up for you. And when that dynamic broke, she didn't reflect. She just panicked, because people don't change because they hurt you. They change when they can't use you. And now that she can't use your attention to soothe her insecurities, she reappears not with apology, but with curiosity. She wants to test if you're still available, still soft, still waiting. because your attention was the free reward she got for doing the bare minimum, and she wants to know if the price has changed. But now it has. Your attention is earned, your energy is sacred, your presence is reserved for those who pour back. And she can't comprehend that shift, because the version of you she knew would have replied within minutes, would have dropped everything for her comfort. But that version of you is gone, and she hates that, because now she's not sure where she stands. And when people don't know where they stand with someone they once controlled, it drives them crazy. And in that madness they tell themselves stories like, maybe you still care, maybe you're just angry, maybe you're playing games. But the truth is, you're done, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom, because you finally understand that attention is the currency of power, and you gave it away too easily, and now you guard it, not like a weapon, but like a treasure. And anyone who wants it has to prove they're not just taking, they're giving too. And if you want to make this shift permanent, if you never want to fall back into the trap of giving your light to people who walk in and out as they please, then start by understanding this. Your attention must serve your vision, not their comfort. And every time you respond to someone who took you for granted, you set yourself back, not because they're evil, but because you're still anchoring your value to their recognition. So stop. Build a life where your presence is felt whether you're online or not. Build habits that make you proud in private. Say no to people who only show up when it benefits them. Train your mind to see red flags not as challenges, but as stop signs. And don't negotiate your peace to be noticed. Let them miss you, let them wonder, but you stay focused, stay building, stay cold where it matters, and warm where it's deserved, because your attention isn't a tool for their ego. It's a reflection of your focus. And once you direct that inward, nothing outside of you can break what you've built. Number 3. She regrets losing control. Control doesn't always look like screaming or gaslighting or ultimatums. Sometimes it wears a soft voice and delayed replies and vague words like, "I need space," or "I'm confused." Sometimes it looks like pulling you close, then pushing you away just to see how much you'll crawl. Sometimes it's disappearing just to check if your loyalty is stronger than her inconsistency. And when it stops working, when your responses change, when you stop showing up the same, that's when regret creeps in. Not the kind born from love lost, but the kind rooted in losing power. Because for too long you gave her all your best pieces while she tested your patience like it was disposable. You tolerated silence, excuses, half effort, and still treated her like a queen, hoping she'd see the king in you. But she didn't. She saw someone she could mold, bend, and shape into an emotional sponge who soaked up every insult and still called it connection. And when you finally stepped back, not as a tactic, but because your soul couldn't take it anymore, the shift happened, not in her behavior, but in her perception of you, because you were supposed to stay broken, waiting, always available. But now you don't text first, don't double-check if she saw your message, don't explain your boundaries anymore. You just live, you just move. And that movement scares her because it's not built on trying to fix the relationship. It's built on fixing yourself. And when control disappears from someone who relied on it to feel safe, they don't reflect. They react, they reappear, not with honesty, not with apology, but with confusion disguised as curiosity, a message that looks innocent but is designed to pull your focus back onto her. And if you bite, if you answer, if you engage, she'll test again, because she doesn't want peace. She wants reassurance that you're still orbiting her world, even when she stopped inviting you in. And when she realizes that orbit is broken, that gravity no longer pulls you in, that you finally saw her patterns for what they are, emotional traps laced with affection and withdrawal, she regrets it, not the relationship, but the fact that she no longer owns the outcome. And this is where most people fall back in, hoping the regret means change, hoping the message means maturity, but it doesn't. It means the leash snapped, and she wants it back in her hands. But you've changed, not because you got lucky, but because you chose to see clearly, chose to listen to the silence not as a punishment, but as an invitation to reflect, chose to face the nights alone instead of reaching for someone who only loves you when it's convenient. And if you're still in that space where you're tempted to respond, remind yourself how many times you gave everything and were still told it wasn't enough. How many times you were made to feel like your love was a burden, not a gift. How many times you sat in confusion while she danced with freedom and still expected you to stand still. That wasn't love. That was leverage. And once she lost it, the regret came not from losing you, but losing the ability to shape you. So now she sends breadcrumbs, nostalgia triggers, old photos, friendly check-ins, all of it designed not to fix anything, but to test if she can still distract you from your growth. And your only job now is to keep your energy guarded like your future depends on it. Because it does. Every message you reply to from the past delays the version of you you're building, and if you want to keep the progress you fought for, the clarity you earned, you have to stay grounded in reality, not emotion, because emotion is what made you tolerate confusion for love. Reality is what set you free, and in that freedom you find peace, strength, and the unshakable truth that anyone who regrets losing you but never valued keeping you was never yours to begin with. They were just passing through, and now they can watch you walk, not with bitterness but with power, not with hate but with distance. And that distance is the boundary that protects everything you've become, because when someone regrets losing control, they don't regret the pain they caused you. They regret losing access to your response. And when you stop responding, you start becoming. And in that becoming, there's no place for confusion dressed as love. Number 4. Your distance feels like rejection. Silence that once meant peace now feels like punishment to someone who thrived on your reaction. And distance that came from healing feels like rejection to someone who never expected you to outgrow the chase. Because losing attention is never easy for someone who believed your energy was infinite and your patience was permanent. Not realizing that the calm that follows clarity is often confused with cruelty by the ones who mistook your presence for permanence. And now, the very absence that protected your peace triggers every insecurity that once hid behind her confidence, and no explanation is necessary when actions have already spoken louder than words ever could, because nothing hits harder than being ignored by the same person who once answered without hesitation. And it's not the loss of love that stings. It's the realization that the person who once gave everything now gives nothing, not out of anger but out of evolution, because what once required your time now only deserves your distance. And when the roles reverse and the chaser becomes the one who doesn't look back, confusion replaces certainty and regret replaces power, and that shift hurts more than any argument ever did. Not because there was betrayal, but because there was acceptance. Because the realization that someone has fully detached removes the illusion of future reconciliation. And that's when reflection begins, not for healing but for control. Not to apologize, but to re-establish relevance. And when the calls go unanswered and the texts are seen but not returned, the emotional loop collapses, because control only works when there's engagement, and the lack of engagement feels like rejection on a soul level, especially for someone who based their value on how much space they occupied in your mind. And the new version of you doesn't just move different, it thinks different, it responds different. It no longer feels the need to explain what's already understood internally, because peace doesn't argue and growth doesn't beg. And now every silent moment is a reminder that the pedestal she once stood on has crumbled, not from rage, but from reality, from the understanding that love without reciprocity is self-abandonment, and now that self is fully reclaimed, and the man she once knew no longer exists, not because he died, but because he was reborn through discipline, through self-respect, through choosing dignity over desperation. And if there's anything that feels like rejection to someone who took you for granted, it's watching you thrive in a world where they are no longer needed, watching you smile in rooms where they thought their presence was required, watching you enjoy your life without chasing validation from someone who withheld it like a reward. And the greatest insult to someone who thought they were irreplaceable is not revenge or rage. It's indifference. It's when the energy they once controlled now belongs to your purpose, your path, your process. And now every part of your life becomes a quiet reminder that they were not the source of your glow. They were just a part of the timeline that ended. And if the distance feels like rejection, it's because deep down there's recognition that the emotional leverage is gone, and with it the attention that fed their ego. And the longer the silence stays, the louder it speaks. Not in anger, but in clarity. Not in games, but in boundaries. And when they finally realize that what they once dismissed is now untouchable, it's not your absence they mourn, it's their access. Because your peace isn't a punishment, it's a decision to no longer play roles in stories that end with you empty, a decision to stop chasing what constantly runs, to stop bleeding for what barely notices your scars. And if that decision feels like rejection, then let it, because protecting your energy from people who only value it in scarcity is the beginning of every breakthrough you never knew you needed. Number 5. She wants to stay relevant. Losing access doesn't always bring regret over the relationship itself. It often brings panic over no longer being visible in the places she once felt entitled to occupy. And staying relevant in your world becomes a mission once the doors close and the attention dries up. Because being forgotten by someone who used to prioritize you hits deeper than any breakup ever could, especially when the attention used to flow freely, daily, unconditionally, and without effort. Because in that dynamic she didn't have to earn her place, she just had to exist. And now that existence no longer carries the same weight in your life, the shift becomes undeniable, not through words but through actions, through the lack of updates, through the change in tone, through the energy that's now redirected into your goals, your health, your growth, your silence. And what once made her feel significant now feels like a fading memory. She can't grab onto anymore. So the attempts to stay relevant begin, not in obvious ways but in passive ones, in story views, in random texts, in likes on old posts, in messages that ask how you're doing when the truth is she doesn't care about how you are. She cares that you've learned to live without her, that you've adapted to her absence, that your world kept spinning without her validation. And that kind of growth, that kind of evolution, it rattles people who believed they were your emotional center, and the idea that someone could once give them the world and then take it back without a scene is something they never prepare for, because losing love is one thing, but losing relevance in someone's life is an ego blow. Few are equipped to handle, and relevance is what she really chases when she comes back, not because there's love she wants to rekindle, but because there's influence she wants to reassert. And when the calls aren't answered, and the texts are left unread, and the space she once controlled is now filled with your priorities, your discipline, your inner work, that silence becomes a reminder that she no longer gets to pull strings in your story. And for someone who's used to being noticed without effort, that reality bites. And so she tries to re-enter not with apology, but with familiar cues, with humor, with nostalgia, with casual energy designed to bypass accountability and test your emotional availability. And that's where most people fold, because the test isn't whether she reaches out. The real test is how you respond when she does, because every response is a vote for the version of yourself you want to keep. Will you vote for the healed version, or the version that still craves validation from the person who denied it? And the solution is brutal but simple. Choose yourself even when it's tempting not to. Stay focused on the man you're becoming instead of the boy she remembers. Remind yourself that relevance without reciprocity is just emotional noise. And if she wants to be in your life now, she has to meet your standards now, not rely on the comfort of history or the residue of old emotions, because people who only show up when they feel forgotten are not there to build with you. They're there to feed on the idea that they still matter in a world that no longer needs them, and that isn't connection, that's control through presence. And presence without purpose is distraction dressed as intimacy. And if the goal is peace, relevance is not something you owe anyone who couldn't hold space for you when you were broken, because the version of you she left behind was the one that begged for love. This version is the one that creates it internally, that builds joy through consistency, discipline, and real boundaries. And staying relevant is a poor substitute for showing up with intention. And when she sees that her absence didn't destroy you, but refined you, the panic sets in, not because she sees your worth, but because she realizes she lost her position and someone else will receive what she took for granted. And if your self-worth is still attached to who sees you, who checks up on you, who remembers you, then healing hasn't finished its job yet, because true healing doesn't crave to be seen by the person who once overlooked you. It creates a life where your visibility isn't dependent on someone else's eyes, but on the quality of your own vision. And in that life, you don't chase relevance. You become too focused to even notice if someone is watching, too driven to turn around, just because someone from the past wants to test if they still hold space in your heart. And once that power shift happens, once she realizes her attempts to stay relevant are met with indifference instead of interest, with focus instead of flattery, with boundaries instead of access, the message becomes clear. Not through words, but through who you are now, and who you are now doesn't need to prove anything to anyone who only values you when your absence becomes louder than your presence ever did. Number 6. You're winning without her. Winning without her isn't about revenge or trying to make her jealous or playing some emotional chess game to get the last word. It's about realizing that healing doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It doesn't need an audience to be real, and progress that starts in silence speaks louder than any message you could ever send, because there's nothing more magnetic than someone who no longer performs for validation, someone who doesn't move to be seen, but moves because standing still is no longer an option. And the moment life forces that shift, when the pain breaks your patterns and forces you to look inward instead of outward, that's when everything starts to change. Not immediately, not perfectly, but permanently. And the day you stop explaining yourself and start applying yourself, she begins to feel what she never expected. The reality that the version of you she dismissed now exists beyond her reach, and every small win, every early morning, every rep in the gym, every book you finish, every task you stay consistent with, every time you sit with the discomfort and choose growth instead of escape is a victory she can't undo. Because she thought she could leave and you'd stay stuck, that she could exit and you'd wait frozen in emotional limbo, that you'd pause your becoming just in case she ever wanted to return, but you didn't. And that quiet decision to evolve instead of entertain her confusion is what shifts the power forever. Because now she's not watching a man who's chasing, she's watching a man who's becoming, and becoming isn't cute, it's not flashy. It's uncomfortable and lonely and thankless at times, but it produces something rare, peace that doesn't depend on another person's presence, and confidence that doesn't come from being chosen, but from choosing discipline daily even when no one claps. And when that consistency compounds, it reflects in your energy, in the way you speak, walk, think, respond, and even in what you no longer tolerate. And she sees it not through conversations, but through what you no longer react to, what you no longer reach for. And that indifference speaks louder than any silence ever could, because it's not cold, it's clear, and clarity doesn't beg, it builds. And now the life you've built doesn't have a spot reserved for someone who only valued you when it was convenient, because your days are full now, not with distractions but with design. And you don't need external drama to feel alive, because your purpose breathes life into your schedule, into your actions, into your momentum. And every time she checks your page or hears about you through someone else and realizes you're not just okay, you're thriving, it's not your smile that bothers her, it's the peace behind it, the peace she never gave you, the peace she may have even interrupted. And now that peace is your standard, not a phase. And that's when the regret sets in. Not because she wants to build, but because she wants to matter again. And when she realizes that your life has no space for people who don't bring value, who don't protect your energy, who don't match your standards, she either levels up or backs off. But either way, you don't change your direction to accommodate someone who once saw your love as replaceable. Because the man who truly wins is the one who never stops moving forward, even when he's tempted to look back. And if there's one truth that stings more than being ignored, it's being forgotten in a life that was once built around you, and now that life is built for something greater, for purpose, for peace, for power. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that doesn't waver when distractions come knocking. Because every goal you set and follow through with is a vote for the new you. And every time you honor your priorities over nostalgia, you reinforce a version of yourself that doesn't break just because someone reappears. And if the aim is to win, really win, then stop waiting for apologies and start working on alignment, because the right people don't need to be chased. They choose you because they see your focus and respect it. And those who don't see it never deserved your energy to begin with. So let the past stay in the past. Not because you hate it, but because you outgrew it. And growth is the ultimate win. It doesn't scream or post or prove. It just walks past what used to destroy it with a calm so steady it leaves no room for confusion. And the life you're building now, the one where your peace is your priority and your standards are non-negotiable, that life is your reward, not because she left, but because you didn't stay where you weren't seen. And that decision to walk forward without needing to be understood, praised, or acknowledged is what makes you unstoppable. And when she sees that, when she truly sees that, she'll know she didn't lose the old version of you. She lost access to the evolved one. And that's a loss she'll carry silently while you keep winning loudly in results and quietly in peace. You already know the truth. She comes back when she no longer controls you. But the real power is making sure you never hand that control over again. And that starts with reprogramming everything this world taught you about your value as a man. Because society thrives on you staying lost, emotional, easy to manipulate, and the last thing it wants is for you to discover the strength that comes from mastering your emotions and walking away with peace in your chest and purpose in your steps. And that's why the Stoic relationship blueprint exists, filled with timeless principles that will shake you awake and show you exactly how to rebuild into the kind of man who never chases chaos again. And now that it's available as an audiobook, you can feed your mind with real wisdom while walking, jogging, or building yourself in silence. The link is in the comments. Grab it now, hit like, subscribe, and comment, "I choose discipline," if you're ready to stop losing years to games and start living with power that no one can take from you.